What's up, Buzz Squad? It's your boy Dalton, back at it again, but not really, because I'm not going to be in the rest of this video. It's going to be Christian. He was just camera shy for some reason, even though he's been on camera before. I don't know. It's his Astrodragon deck profile, so let's see what's good. Let's go.
Here's my Astrodragon deck, okay? So we got the fancy flag from the starter deck, and my buddy is Stars Guidance Cross Astrologia, and I chose this as my buddy because why not? And I always go into it, and it's the boss card of the deck, so it works out. All right, so that's done. How about some, showing off? So I run 4 of it, and if you guys don't know what this does, it's a pay 2 gauge, put a card deck into soul. At the start of each player's attack phase, go up to one size Astrodragon monster from your drop zone without paying its call cost, galaxy formation, or if an Astrodragon in the center, left, and an Astrodragon item is equipped. All cards on the field can be destroyed by opponent's card effects and his double attack. And that's a very strong ability, and at the beginning of Ace, Astrodragons had the problem where everything could just get destroyed, and you're like, oh, okay, thanks. Well, depends on the deck and the opponent you're playing as, but this really strengthens your board and makes it so nothing can be destroyed. I mean, they can still bounce cards, but in the end, having a notification of destruction is very strong, so there's that. Then we run 2 of the original one that came from the last booster set, Astrodragon Cross Astrologia. This is a little do if you have an Astrodragon in the center and left, Astrodragon item equipped, all cards in the field get +1 card and penetrate. That's its galaxy formation, and with the double attack skill. And I only really use this card if I want to go aggressive and finish off my opponent, even though the other one is as aggressive, it's just more board state control, your field. This one just lets you try and swing for game as quick as possible. All right. After size 1s, I run 4 Guardseer Dragon, Gyron, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. So this guy, because our buddy likes to call size 1s from the drop for free, we can call this if we don't have anything on the left, as for other size 1s or less. But this guy is a redirector. What do I mean by that? When your opponent cards attack, if this card's on the left, change the target attack to this card, Soul Guard. So we want to have this with the Stars Guidance Cross Astrologia for, full board state control, and then you can just cast debuffs or resting cards on your opponent, so every time they would do something to this guy, he would remain on the field for long, let's say, hence you're stalling, so your opponent doesn't go for your Astrologia. Next up is our resource gainer, Governed Star Dragon Fret. Basic skill, when this card enters the field, on the left you have another Astrodragon on the field. Put the top 2 cards of the deck into the gauge and draw 1 card. So running it at 4 because I want to see this card, of course, and I want to gain resources. And he's not once per turn, so you can't spam him. I don't know, it might be bad for some players or good depending on the plays you're trying to do. But 2 gauge and draw a card for basically free is pretty nice. And you can also call this with the body of the deck, of course, and during either attack phase. So you call this guy, and then at the beginning, and you call another one, and at the beginning of your attack phase, you just grab the one from the drop zone and call it on the same spot. So essentially gained 6 gauge and drew 3 cards. There you go. All right. After our item searcher of the deck, Governed Star Dragon Borderer. or whatever. So pay a gauge when this card enters the field, put up to one Astrodragon item from the deck into the hand and shuffle the deck, which is good. You know, we always want to search for our item. Item searching in Buddyfight is pretty strong ability. It always works. And because sometimes you can only run 4 of an item and you want to run more of the same item, you have item searchers, which I consider myself more copies of that item, but indirectly. So there's that. That's all it does. We have a size 0 in this deck at 2. We got Govern Star Dragon Bellet. This one came out in the newest set, so pay a gauge. During your turn, all Astrodragon cards in the field cannot be arrested or returned to hand by your opponent's card effects. So now we have a way to combat bouncing while our buddy prevents destruction of everything. And when this card enters the field, may put a size 2 or greater Astrodragon monster from the drop zone into your hand. So if you call this card first and you don't have a size 2 and your size 2 is in the drop, you can get it and then call your size 2 and just go off from there, which is very good. And you know, if you have an open slot on the right or left, it doesn't matter where it goes, it still activates its ability no matter what. After our items, we got 2 Steer Tool Rune Stones. This is one of probably the most played item or less played item depending on the player. But basically this card is pay a gauge. This card can attack if you have an Astrodragon in the center. This card on the field can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And all Astrodragon monsters in the field get plus 4,000 power. And with that you can get around most walls or big defense monsters. I mean, your buddy has 6,000 power, so that right there makes him at 10. So that's good. You know, you don't need to do link attacks or try to avoid doing link attacks, so you can still do more attacks with singular, or you can do more singular attacks with your monsters instead. So I consider this a very good item. And another good item that just came out, 2 copies of Steer Crossbow Babylonia Lupus. Just 2 crit and 3,000 powers, so nothing much there, but pay a gauge. I want to equip it, and this card attack if there's an Astrodragon in the center. This attacks if you have an Astrodragon in the center, and the left, this card gets triple attack. So if you have an Astrodragon on your left and center, this card gets triple attack, which is pretty good to wipe out like small monsters, or like try and do link attacks to, you know, get over big defenses, or you know, attack for 2 or 3 times and then maybe impact your opponent to face, or take out your opponent out of the game. So there's that. Nothing much to see here, just a crossbow. Alright, now for our spells. We got a lot of spells in this deck actually. So we got 4 copies of Proclaim Steer the Stars. And the only reason I'm running this card at 4 is because I ran it at 3 and I've never seen it. But I put it at 4 and now I can see it every game, which is good because this card is very, very strong. You only cast this card if you have an Astrodragon on the field. Pay a life, look at the top 4 cards of the deck. Put up to a total of 2 Astrodragon monsters or items from among them into your hand and put the rest into the gauge. And you can only cast Proclaim Steer the Stars once per turn. And this card is basically to get your trying to get your setup going. So if you equip an item, cast this card, try and get 2 monsters out of it, or if you really want to, you can just put everything in the gauge, because it doesn't say you gotta grab anything from it. So there's that. So you can easily gain 4 gauge with it. So it's like a pseudo hyper energy. All right. So now we run 4 defensive tactics, which is a pseudo shield of some sort in some way. So this card basically is one of the cards that shuts down opponents' turns, depending on the deck though. So you might cast this card during your opponent's turn, and if you have 2 or more Astrodragons on the field, Counter, for this turn, all cards on your opponent's field get minus 5,000 power, minus 5,000 defense, and critical minus 1. So, like, if you're fighting Folktale, for example, all their cards don't really have that much power or critical unless they have Snow White on their like soul. So, but besides that, kind of shuts them down from actually attacking your field. So, there you go. All right. So, next, 4 copies of Notify Immobilize Tactics, or you know, the cheap version of Crystallization Phenomenon. So, this card, they can only cast if you have an Astrodragon in the field, pay a gauge, choose a card on your opponent's field, and rest it for the turn, and the chosen card cannot stand. So, basically, what I call another pseudo-nullifying, because you're just preventing your opponent from using their card from attacking. So, and because you can choose any card to rest, so you can rest their item or monster, so that's nice. That's pretty much it. All right. Time for some pretty good spell. Proclaim Decisive Point. So Decisive Point, you make only cast this card if you have an Astrodragon on the field, draw a card. For this turn, all Astrodragon on the field cannot be destroyed or returned to hand by your opponent's card effects, and they get plus 3,000 power. So if you don't have the size 0 on the field, that's a one way to prevent bouncing. Or if you have the first Astrologia that came out on the Buddyfight Ace set, you can help it so it doesn't get destroyed or return. I mean, your entire field is protected pretty much. And the plus 3,000 power does go a long way. You know, power is one of the things that this deck might struggle against, because a lot of other decks might have high defenses in this meta, like Hero World. They have a big defense, so you might as well pump in some power to your cards. And drawing a card is always nice, because then it replaces itself. So you refresh your hand, and you might top deck something that's good. You never know, or you know, or you can just cast it just to cast it because you want to, and maybe you want to see if you can get something better. All right. Yeah. So then I run 3 Notified Blessed Rain Tactics, one of the new cards that just came out. Booster set 2. You can cast this card and attack your opponent's turn. If you have an Astrodragon on the field, nullify the attack, and you gain life for each Astrodragon on the field. You know, fitting with the theme of the new Art Buddy, which he can call size 1s or less to the field on the left or right. So if you got 3 monsters, an item, and your set spell, because we do run the set spell, that is a total of 5 life. There you go, 5 life for free, basically. And that's pretty much it. That's all. Here's the set spell, speaking of which. Sentence Battle Preparations. Set all abilities of Astrodragon in the field can be nullified before these card effects. And when an Astrodragon monster enters, gain a life, and draw a card once per turn. You can only set one of these. It's very good. You know, it keeps your hand up every time you call a monster once. And preventing ability notification is very necessary because you don't want your galaxy formation being nullified, or you know, there's a lot of ability notification in this game anyway, so it's very good to have. And you know, the drawing gain a life is also good. All right, so we have 2 copies of Celesphere Control. This is their new draw card. When you cast this card, if you have an originally size 2 or greater Astrodragon on the field, draw a card for each Astrodragon monster on the field. Only cast Celeste Control once per turn. So if you field, you have 3 Astrodragon monsters, you draw 3, you have 2, draw 2, you know, that's pretty much it. And we run 2 Proclaim Battle Supplies. Oh, this card's so good though, let me tell you. When you cast this card, if you have 2 or more Astrodragon monsters on the field and an item equipped, put 2 cards from your deck into the gauge, gain a life, and draw 2 cards. That's it. That's all it does, and it's once per turn. That's why I also run 2 of this card. So if they come back to back, I can cast both of them. And finally, the impact of the deck. Tri-star Decision. You only cast this card if your opponent's 5 life or less, if you have an Astrodragon on the center left and an Astrodragon element equipped, pay 3 gauge, deal 5 damage. I run it because it's a good finisher, and sometimes you just need that final push to win you the game. And it works. You know, it's run it 2 just because I sometimes see it enough and I hold it in my hand because I draw enough, and if I never get it off, then whatever. Sometimes I'll charge it. So that's it. But yeah, that's my deck profile. Tell me what you think in the comments below. And make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. Hit the bell to get the notifications. And see you next time.